He was an absolute, well, he still is a fishy, but it's a Japanese word that means beautiful boy.
Well, it's true that I did fall for his hair, I have to admit.
I think we all did.
She did insist that I not cut it, but I was fine with that. Okay, your turn.
I guess we have to be the geekiest ones here because, and also at this moment, feeling the oldest because this is so pre-Facebook, MySpace, internet, email, webcam, any of that stuff. In 1969, I was a freshman in college in Boston reading my stash of weekly comics, among which was Silver Surfer #5, and she was a high school senior in the Los Angeles area looking at a college down there, and there was a letter in the letters page. We remember what those were like. And back then they even printed the names and the addresses of the people who wrote the letters, and I'm on one side of the country, and there's a wonderful letter from Wendy Fletcher living on the other side of the country, and I was intrigued, as were apparently many, many hundreds of other guys, at a really sensitively written, intelligent letter that was sensitively, intelligently written by a female. And both of those were highly unknown concepts in comic fandom in 1969. So I wrote, and she replied. And we did that cross-country thing for 4 years. And yeah, I don't recommend it. But we had enough of that after 4 years, and we got married in 1972.
So you actually did meet because of the comics?
We actually did meet purely and unconditionally because of the comics. There was nothing subtle to it.
But I like you've come full circle now.
Yes, we paid it forward. ElfQuest is responsible for 4 marriages that we know of, and lots of dates.
No, it's just a little bit weirding when parents come up to us with the kids that they've named after characters in ElfQuest.
And we pity the kids, you know, it's like some kid's going to have to go through school and be named Cutter.
I know a guy named Cutter.
Yeah.
Cutter's not bad.
No, Cutter's
not bad.
But he may have been named
Pick nose.
because of
Had trouble
Yeah.
in school.
Andrew, how did we meet?
We actually met at the Cartoon Art Museum, and I'm still there. I showed up one day as a volunteer, and Shannon was already an intern there. And actually, she saw our friend, Hallie, who was the bookstore manager at the time, gave me a tour of the museum, orientation session, and then took me into the back office, and there was a girl in a bone shirt sitting back there filing papers. And Howie honestly, nobody believes us, but I said, "Oh, this is Shannon, she's single."
It was true.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, I'll take care of that." We ran into each other.
That's right, put pity on me.
We ran into each other later at the museum, and Shannon sort of hit on me by writing on her website, and she was doing it for me.
Life in the modern era.
We did emails for a while, and here we are.
What I really want to talk about now is I once wrote a letter to somebody out of the back of a comic because they printed everybody's name and address. And we had this like big, long comic book guy argument about things, and then became friends because we're local to Chicago, the Chicago area. But I completely forgot that they printed that, and you know, to get mail out of the blue from somebody, you just open it up and go, we're break this comic.
When my letter was published in Silver Surfer, I got over 500 letters from guys all over America and Canada who wanted to meet a girl who read comics, because back
You
in
were the girl. It was like
1969, you know, there were so few of us.
And nobody would print their address in the back of a comic book.
Those were gentler times.
Oh, yeah.
People were more trusting back then.
Well, also, Richard was attracted to your kind and gentle letter that was written by a woman, which meant there must have been a lot of kind and gentle letters written by men.
Yes, that's right.
But the interesting thing was that all
It wasn't an either or. It was a woman, and it was intelligent. Because the guys were arguing who's stronger, the
Yes.
thing or the home.
Everybody knows it's the hall.
Harold that could possibly be stronger than
well, you see, most of the letters I got were, the guys would tell me, how tall they were, what color their eyes were, how many zits they had, what characters they liked best. His was the only one that intrigued me. His was the one I responded to because he said, if you want to know more about me, you have to write to me, and I promise you, surprises await.
I want to write Richard a letter.
See, I was unconsciously honing my publisher and marketing skills, even then.
Well, I know when I went to the 1970 Comic-Con, which had 300 people at it, I went by myself, and I was an adult married female working, and I got these looks like, what are you doing here? I was like, it's supposed to be all guys, and to this day, Scott Shaw will put his memories of that first con as being all teenage boys who were brought there by their mothers. So I mean, excuse me, I was there.
So you touched upon this earlier, but can you talk about what the studio setup is? It sounds like so you have the front and the back room thing and the New York, California thing. So can you just talk about the home studio setup?
Jackie Jackie cracks the whip until I get my work done, and that's my reward, by the way.
Well, one of the ways that
Someone's
we
leaving the room now. Right?
one of the ways that I finally convinced him to leave his beloved New York and move to San Diego he lived in a little fifth floor walk up in Brooklyn, and I had a house, but to be in my house in a neighborhood, he thought it was just too scary because it was so quiet, and he was just sure axe murders would come running out of the houses. So what we ended up with is he got a studio downtown San Diego in the same building that Comic-Con had offices, and there were other artists and stuff in there, and he could be in a downtown urban environment that is his natural environment. So he's had that since 1993.
Now I'm the only tenant there.
Yeah, now everybody's abandoned him. But when he's at home, he has an area we call the pit that is his work area, and then I have a big office, but then I also work at Comic-Con part-time, so some days I am away at the Comic-Con office and he's at the house, and other days, he's downtown, so we kind of move around.
I had a studio and I got kicked out by her.
There we go.
That's true. I had the room in the house. She wanted it. I got pushed into another room, a much smaller room.
You're just a writer.
I know.
Hey, wait a minute. First of all, none of those words have ever come out of my mouth. You want me to clarify that?
No, I think it's very clear.
Next.
You want to add something to it, but you just want to muddy it up with details.
I used to have a studio. I used to work in my apartment when I lived by myself. Then I moved out and shared a studio with some other artists. Then the neighborhood got gentrified, so I couldn't afford to stay in that space anymore. So I moved into a different neighborhood with different artists, and that building was overrun with vermin and leaking and terrible, frightening